Hello again, everybody. It's wonderful to see you with us here studying the Psalms. Today we are in Psalm chapter 65, so I hope that you have a great opportunity to read this along with me and to study it. This is a really nice little psalm. It really talks about the great things that God has done for us. First of all, how He has saved us, His salvation, and then how He sustains us, the things that He does for us in creation and through creation to continually give us that which we need for life and for godliness. And so what we get to look at here is just a psalm of great praise to God. And so I hope that we can look at this and give God praises for all the little things that sometimes we don't think about because we're just a little bit set apart from those things sometimes. We may have a garden, but we don't think about all the gardening and ranching that has to happen to have the food in our grocery stores, how the rain needs to come, how the sun needs to be right, how all of these things work together, and how God is the one who provides all of these things year in and year out, day in and day out. And He provides for us in all ways. And so what we get to see here is, first of all, the wonderful salvation that we have. It says, "Praise awaits you, O God, in Zion. In you our vows will be fulfilled. O you who hear prayer, to you all men will come. When we were overwhelmed by sins, you forgave our transgressions. Blessed are those you chose and bring near to live in your courts. We are filled with the good things of your house, of your holy temple." So first of all, praise awaits God because we want to fulfill our vows. It says, "Oh, you who hear prayer." So first, again, God hears our prayer. God is there for us. To you, all men will come. All people will come to God if they understand the power and might of God. And it says, when we were overwhelmed by sin, you forgave our transgressions. And of course, we see that abundantly through the grace of Jesus Christ and everything that He has done on our behalf for the forgiveness of sins. And so what we see here is that we are going to bring near, to be brought near to live in His courts. We have that stated a little bit differently in the New Testament. Jesus says, "In my Father's house there are many rooms, and I'm going there to prepare a room for you." But we will be with God in heaven, and so in His holy temple. What a blessed experience and thought that is. It says this, "You answer us with awesome deeds of righteousness, O God, our Savior, the hope of all the ends of the earth and of the farthest seas, who formed the mountains by your power, having armed yourself with strength, who stilled the roaring of the seas and the roaring of their waves and the tumult of the nations. Those living far away fear your wonders. Where morning dawns and evening fades, you call forth songs of joy." And so God answers us with amazing deeds of righteousness. He's our Savior, and He's the hope to the ends of the earth. Jesus is the hope of all nations. And what we have here is from the ends of the earth to the farthest sea, we can be having hope in Jesus Christ. We can have hope in God. And so it says here, God formed the mountains. He stilled the seas. He created the roaring waters. He formed the nations, the tumult of the nations. Those living far away fear your wonders. Where the morning dawns and the evening fades, you call forth songs of joy. Everyone knows about God, and everyone can see the power of God just through His creation. And so people will call God different things, but what we know is God is the creator of all things. And because of that, He sustains us in all things. He is our salvation, and He is our sustainer. It says in verse 9, "You care for the land and water it. You enrich it abundantly." Isn't that just a huge blessing right there? It rains often, not as often here as it does in other places in the world, but we get plenty of water. We get water, especially in our mountains, and we harvest that water for the year ahead when it's really hot. But what we see is God is always there providing what we need so that we can have life and have it abundantly. You enrich it abundantly. That's the land. You enrich the land abundantly, and we have all that we need for life and for godliness, as 2 Peter 1:3 tells us. It says, the streams of God are filled with water to provide the people with grain, for so you have ordained it. The streams of God are filled with water. We have streams, rivers, lakes. We have all these things that we get to take the water from and use for the riches and the blessings of God. Excuse me. And so what we see here is that God delivers on his promises of always taking care of us. It says, you drench its furrows and level its riches. You soften it with showers and bless its crops. So God is blessing the crops year in and year out. You crown the year with your bounty, and your carts overflow with abundance. The grassland of the deserts overflow. The hills are clothed with gladness. The meadows are covered with flocks, and the valleys are mantled with grain. They shout for joy and sing. And so what we just see here is you crown the year with your bounty. Isn't it interesting? Different times of year we receive different things. Early on we receive berries, then we receive fruit, then we receive early harvest. Some people have already received asparagus early in the year. Then we receive the grains and everything else. And so God is always taking care of us and giving us bounty throughout the year. And it says, and your carts overflow with abundance. Whenever we trust in God, we are overflowing with this abundance. The grasslands of the desert overflow. And because they are overflowing, the hills are covered with gladness, and there are flocks that are covering the hills, the meadows, and the valleys are mantled with grain, and they shout for joy and sing. The people get to shout for joy and sing because God has provided abundantly for us. Let's never forget that. Let's never forget that all that we have comes from a blessed God who created all things in such a manner that we can continue to sustain our lives and be blessed in such abundance. And what a blessing it is. So let's remember these things, and let's contemplate these things as we move forward. God is our Savior. God is our Creator. God is our Sustainer. Three great thoughts here in this message today. And he is the one who hears our prayer. So don't forget to pray to him often. All right, be blessed, and we'll see you again next time.